A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. I'm starting a new path, and that's persuasive influence. But the word persuasion reminds me a lot of the marketplace. We're persuaded into so many things. And I'm sure we're going to be looking more at the word influence. I've been a nurse my whole life. I wanted to be a nurse. I wanted to help people. And I'm going to look at this as past, present, and future. When I came into nursing, I was excited to be able to help people and do different approaches. I did a lot of massage for people. I did a lot of helping them integrate whatever was going on with them. It was another time when the medications weren't full tilt. And it was still pretty medically based. As time moved on, I saw the lies, and it didn't take me long. It didn't take me long to see that people over-identified with an illness. They became their illness. They became proud of their illness. They said that their illness was the best illness that their doctor had ever seen, the best case. They were so excited. I'm thinking there's something wrong with this picture. So time moved on, and I got exposed to so many more healing elements that just expanded my knowledge base. Thank you for acknowledging that I have a doctoral degree, but I will tell you most of what I know was not learned in academia, but was learned on the street, at seminars, and in conferences. And what radicalized my perspective on breast health happened 36 years ago. I attended a Cancer Control Society conference, and I met people from around the world who talked about cancer of all different kinds and chronic illnesses. And I'm thinking to myself, why don't I know this? I'm a nurse. I have a doctoral degree. Why don't I know these truths? Why don't I know it's been covered up so much? And I realized, because people paid their life with it. Yeah, that's a pretty harsh statement to make, but it's true. We don't, that's a time for maybe sitting at the bar. I don't drink, but in any case. So I've had to come to terms with the fact, how can I support people and look at their truth, knowing that they've been marketed to, sold to, persuaded beyond anything we could ever do in Toastmasters to do things that are really anti-life. People talk about right to life. We could call this whole thing right to life. So my challenge here as a persuasive influencer is to present data in a way that's rational, that addresses fears, because we're a very fear-based culture, and in a gentle enough way where people can hear, but mostly hear their own truth. So coming up to the future, healthcare is going to be changing so dramatically in the next few years, we may not recognize it. Doctors are being replaced. The human was never going to be replaced, but the one might say, this started over 100 years ago regarding big pharma, which is John Rockefeller medicine, and the American Cancer Society, that was funded because so many drugs cause cancer. That's changing. People are waking up. We're really in a time of transformation, and I think we stand as leaders, as Toastmasters, talking about the different parts of the darkness that we see that we can bring to life. The future is absolutely going to be heart-based. That's and consciousness-based. And every day I hear the Heart Master speak, I think that brings us closer to it. I get to choose how to be an influencer with this. I get to choose how I can walk my walk and talk the talk with Toastmasters to bring to the public, to people who are interested, not to the sheeple we call, not to the people who are not interested in change. They're not my market. But there are people who are curious, who may be fearless, but they are ready to go to being fear. They're fearful, and they get to go from fearful to fearless. And that's the challenge that's the promise I get to make to people, how I can help take them on the journey. So I feel highly privileged to be in the position I am, knowing the field like I know, knowing that there's so much challenging people. I learned when I did my book, Cherish the Girls, that people go, what am I going to do? I like my doctor. And that really put me on a path of addressing the fears, because people can't even hear what's good for their own well-being. So thank you for sharing this journey with me and my icebreaker, getting to start off the journey. And I'm deeply appreciative of this group for its love, affection, support, and trust.